What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're going to be starting to mess with the truck, and what we're going to be doing is attempting to tint the windows myself. You know, I'm a big DIY guy and learning how to do new things and doing them myself and saving money. And tinting is one thing that I have done only one time in the past. It was several years ago, and I wouldn't say I was too successful at that. But I feel like this time I'm a little bit more prepared, and the YouTube University, if you will, has come a long way in the last 15 years since I've first attempted to tint windows. So hopefully this time around we'll be successful and turn out with a good quality tint job on the truck. And this really isn't going to be a how-to video. It's really going to be more like taking y'all along with me tinting windows for pretty much the first time. I've heard of how good this ceramic tint is from some friends and online. And so we did go out in the yard and do a little experiment on the heat rejection test. Guys, so before we do this tint, we're going to do a little bit of an experiment on how hot it gets inside the truck. It is about noon right now, and we're going to let the truck sit out in the yard for about 30 minutes. We are in full sun. I do have a few clouds in the sky, so hopefully we'll get some full sun for a little bit. But what we're going to do is I have 3 thermometers, and we are going to leave one in the cab. We're going to put one on the dash, and then I'm going to put one on the hood. And then I also have my laser thermal gun. So let's let this thing sit for about 30 minutes to an hour, and then we'll come back out here and check the temperatures again. All right, guys, so we've been sitting for about 30 minutes. Let's see here, we got 98 on the hood, which we're seeing about 105 on the temp gun. We are seeing 113 on the center console, 119 on the gun, and then this screen is completely black because the screen overheats. Dealt with this. I tested this out yesterday. Just got to cool off the screen a little bit. $145. 157 on the gun. All right, and so that's going to be our baseline numbers. So after we do the tint, we will do the same exact test tomorrow, similar conditions, and see what the results are. All right, guys, so over the past couple of videos, we've been going over the bracelet that I've been wearing on my wrist for about a year or so, and it is called the King's Witness bracelet. So we've already been over the he came, he died, he rose, and now we're going to be going over the symbol he ascended. And the verse for that symbol is going to be Acts chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. And when he had said these things, as they were looking on, he was lifted up, and a cloud took him out of their sight. And while they were gazing into heaven as he went, behold, 2 men stood by them in white robes and said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into heaven? This Jesus who was taken up from you into heaven will come in the same way you saw him go into heaven. Acts chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. And after Jesus died and rose again on the 3rd day, he spent 40 days with his disciples on this earth, living and breathing. And through those 40 days, there was over 500 witness accounts of him walking on this earth. And during that time, he let one of his disciples, Thomas, touch his nail-pierced hands and touch his pierced side to let him know that he was the Jesus that was crucified on the cross. And he even sat down and ate broiled fish with his disciples. And I don't know of any ghost that can sit down and eat some broiled fish. And at the end of those 40 days, he did not die again on this earth. As we read in the Bible, he ascended into heaven, and the angels said that he is going to be coming back the same way that he left us. So guys, please stay tuned for the next episode where we will wrap up going over the King's Witness bracelet. And also, y'all go out and grab you one of these bracelets so you too can witness to somebody in public and let them know who our Lord Jesus Christ is. All right, so these are all the tools and materials we're gonna be using to tint the windows. Most of the tools that I got them from Detroit Tint Studio. The guy over there has a really good YouTube channel and very informative, and that's where I've learned most of the techniques and skills to tint the window, and he has a great store as well to get me everything that I need to have a successful tint job. You can see we got some squeegees and swipes here. We got some razor blades for cutting the glass, and then this is for doing the top edge. We have a little tucking tool. We have some extra razor blades, felt card for shrinking, some glass aid for protecting the glass while we cut the tint, and then this is a clay bar for actually cleaning some of the glass up. These are actually snuggle dryer sheets for shrinking the front and I guess front windshield on any car, and then a back windshield for a car. And then we have some scrub pads just to get the windshields nice and clean before we install the tint and before we shrink the tint as well. We have some Johnson & Johnson baby shampoo that we're gonna put a couple squirts in, some water in a squirt bottle for our soap solution for applying the tint. We have a stack of microfiber towels. I have a couple of large chamois to lay down on the dash and protect the dash from all the water that we're gonna be spraying. We have some razor blades here for cleaning the glass, and we have our heat gun, of course, for doing some shrinking. And then going on to the tint that we bought, I got these rolls of tint off of eBay. Right here we have Lumar Formula One Pinnacle 15%, and this is a ceramic tint, and that's what we're going to be using for our side windows. And then also we have 3M ceramic IR 50% for doing the windshield, and then I believe I'm going to use this as well to go over my back windows eventually that have stock tint already on it. Both of these rolls here are 40 inches long by 20 feet long. The windshield definitely needs the 40-inch, but then some of the side windows you can probably get by with a 20-inch long roll, but the Dodge windows were just barely over 20 inches, so I had to go with a 40-inch roll as well for the tint for the sides. So that's all our materials here. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see how good we can do. So we're on the inside of our window, and you can tell, golly, you can see right in here, this is old glue from old tint. So this is the kind of stuff we're looking out for, and just gonna go over the whole entire windshield with a brand new razor blade with some tint solution on there, just to get everything as clean as possible. There's that old glue right there from the corner. And here I'm just getting these window tracks nice and clean. And then I'm just gonna go over the window a couple more times and make sure the glass is super clean inside and out. And here I'm just rolling out my tint and getting a rough cut to the window size. And the 40-inch roll was a little bit cumbersome to hold up and cut to the rough window shape. But you can see I cut the square big enough to where I could get a complete another window out of the excess I cut off the top. And here I'm lining up the straight bottom edge of the tint about a ½ inch below where the window seal is. And then I'm taking my razor blade with the blade one click out and cutting down either side of the tint. And I'm pulling the tint over about a ½ inch in between, cutting down either side, and that gives us about an 1/8 inch sticking into the window tracks. And then I'm gonna roll the window down a little bit, and then I'm gonna use my plastic handle steel razor blade to cut across the top edge, and also trim the more pronounced top corner edge. Then I'm gonna use a ruler, or you can use the plastic tri-edge squeegee to square off the corners and then just freehand the round edge onto it. And now we're gonna move on to shrinking. I'm gonna move the tint slightly up on the glass and then swipe around the edges, and then pulling a little bit of tension towards the center, I'm gonna swipe down the rest of the tint. So these are the fingers that we're gonna be wanting to shrink. And then working through each finger, I'm gonna heat them up, watching for the finger to kind of squiggly line, and then I'm gonna swipe down with my shrinking card. And I'm gonna lift the tint away from the glass and do one final shrink. All right, so there's a possibility that I did over shrink this. This kind of corner was kind of bowing up, but it's looking good now. So just from a learning experience, I'm gonna take this one through the full process. If we get fingers, we'll do it again. Now I'm just giving the window one last cleaning before we get this tint on it. I'm peeling the liner down halfway and giving it a spray, and then sliding my arm through the middle of it. But I should have had the door open first, so I had to kind of shift it around, and then carried it around to the other side of the door and stuck it on the glass. And as soon as I tacked this thing down, I noticed a hair in the top corner, so I had to kind of peel it away to get to that hair. I got the hair. I got it. So here I got the top edge tacked down, but I started tucking the window tint before I rolled the window up, and I actually gave the tint a few creases that could have been avoided if I would have rolled the window up in the first place. And once the tint is tucked and all in place, I just start from the center out and just swipe everything to the window, and then give some nice tri-edge swipes in the window tracks and along the bottom. And then here I was trying to just heat the glass up on the outside to get rid of some of those internal creases, but I don't really think I helped it much at all. All right, guys, so that went south kind of fast. As you saw, as soon as I got the window set, I noticed a very small hair right here, which is probably the worst place, I think, because you got to take the whole sheet back off because this is the first corner you set. So in my struggling of doing so, getting the film back up there, I put a nice little crease in it right here. And then fighting with it, I also put a crease here. You can't really tell too bad from the inside, but on the outside, it does not hide itself at all, especially right here. So, but other than that, went way better than I expected, I suppose. So I'll just leave this window for now. Go ahead and do the other side, get a little bit more learning in. And then we'll probably come back and redo this one again if we have time. Maybe not tonight, but maybe tomorrow. We'll get that one redone because I don't want to live with those creases in it. And now it's just a rinse and repeat on the other side. And here you might notice a pretty big mistake I just made. I forgot to shrink. I forgot to freaking shrink the film. So in efforts of trying to save this piece of tint, I peeled it off, stuck it back on the other side, tried to take some hairs out of it and shrunk it. But as soon as I stuck that piece on there and made those first couple of swipes, there was just so much hair and dirt in it. Restart, too many hairs. All right, so we finally got that one done. Had to do a retry. It looks okay. I had a couple creases in the film. I have no idea when it happened. I don't know if it happened whenever I cut it the first time, because this was the other side of the first time we tried, so I don't know if it creased then and I just didn't see it. And then I got a small crease right here whenever I was shrinking. But man, this, I don't know, it is kind of harder than it looks. But other than that, it doesn't look like I got any hairs or anything in it. There might be a little bit of, I don't know if it's a little bit of dirt or what in there. There's some small stuff, but man, I'm telling you, with these two dogs in this shop, there's so much stinking hair in here, so there's no telling. So I'm gonna roll with this one for now. And we will, go ahead and try to jump on the windshield, which I feel like that's going to be a nightmare, but we're going to try it anyways, and we'll see what happens. All right, so getting the cowling out of the way, I'm going to give the windshield a good wash down and scrubbing with the blue scrub pad and get it nice and clean. And here I'm doing my Glass Aid tape right on the edge of the black, and then going over the whole windshield with a Snuggle dryer sheet. And on the inside, I'm just going over the whole windshield with a fresh razor blade and then squeegeeing it clean. And now I'm laying out my tint, doing a rough trim to size with a few inches hanging around over the edge, and then starting the shrinking process. And now I'm doing a final trim to size, cutting right down the middle of the Glass Aid tape, and then doing a few touch-up shrinks on the top and bottom. All right, so I think we got the windshield is shrunk about as good as it is gonna get. I was doing some learning. Whenever you get down to these edges over here, I was having a little bit of trouble and I creased it a few times. But we're gonna live with it. The only way to learn is try it and learn from your mistakes. So I wanna just go ahead and do the full process of installing this windshield tint. And then, you know, later on down the road, if it doesn't turn out well, I'll just peel it off and do it again. But let's go ahead and get this thing sprayed down, and we are going to do the reverse roll method, I believe is what it's called. And hopefully it'll go pretty good. And here I'm pulling back the liner one corner at a time and spraying the entire thing down and laying the liner back on it. And now I'm rolling the tint up in a pretty tight roll and then jumping to the inside and reverse rolling it using the liner to help pull the roll out on the inside. And here I'm trimming around my rear view mirror mount and then working from the center out, I'm just squeegeeing out the tint. I had a few creases I was trying to work out and I ended up having to pull the tint away and then re-squeegee it out to the edge. All right, guys, so we wrapped up the tint last night. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning before I got done, and I was tired and a little fed up, but we have a end product. It is not the best, but I'm calling it kind of like a 10-foot job. Looks good from about 10 feet away, but I'm gonna live with it for now, get some more practice on my other car, and then eventually I will come back and do this one again. So we're gonna go ahead and do this heat test again. I had to wait for some clouds to burn off, but we're pretty much full sun, you know, with a few clouds coming through here and there, but it is pretty much full sun. So let's go ahead and get these thermometers set up again, and then we'll check it in about 30 minutes to an hour. All right, guys, so our 30 minutes is up, so let's go ahead and check these thermometers. All right, on the hood we got 98. 109 on the temp gun. All right, so we got a 114 in the sun right here and a 104 on the center console. 117 on the center console with the heat gun. In the sunny portion, we got 140. Good gosh. And our thermometer up here seems like it's hot, but it is not black. 138.9, so it is a little bit cooler. 150, so a little bit cooler. And this is pretty much the finished quality of the tint job. You can see I got a couple of creases right here. I was able to get most of the fingers out, but these creases were really from an unexperienced person shrinking the tint. But for the most part, I mean, it looks pretty good. Just really some minor creases, and then I got 1 or 2 fingers I might try to work out with the squeegee after a little while. But I will say a tinted windshield definitely makes the truck look pretty good. And looking at the side doors, the front to the back, I mean, it's pretty close. I would say that I was thinking this was probably 20% factory, but man, the 15 matches like pretty good. And you can see, I don't know, I had a little bit of dirt. This window didn't turn out the greatest. I'm definitely going to redo the tint again eventually, but like I said, I wanted to go through the full process to get as much practice as I could, and I will learn with time. All right, guys, so it's been a couple of weeks since I tinted the truck, and I've been enjoying it quite nicely, driving around these last few weeks. You know, just having that little bit extra privacy on the sides, and even on the front, I can tell, you know, it cuts down on a little bit of that sunlight coming through the windshield. But going back to my test results, I really was not too impressed with the test results on the heat rejection. You know, I thought it would have been drastically cooler on some of those surfaces inside the truck, like the dash and the center console and whatnot. And I kind of questioned if I got, you know, gypped or scammed or whatever, if I was actually sold ceramic tint or not. But after doing a little bit of digging on the internet, I did find a really nice video from a tint shop. I'll link the video down in the description below. But they did a really good side-by-side comparison of the same truck, same day, one with tint, one without. And it really wasn't like drastically lower temperatures inside. It was more of the rate at which the truck heats up. So I think we did see that whenever we did our test. But overall, I am super pleased with the tint. And like I said, you know, there is some perfections in the tint, so we will redo it eventually in the future, but I'm gonna get some more practice in before I try it again. But overall, I am really happy with the tint, and you know, looking at the cost of everything, I probably have about 300 bucks in the 2 rolls of tint and all of my supplies to do it. And I've only used a quarter of my tint, so I have plenty of tint left over compared to, you know, a tint job. I probably would have paid for a front windshield and 2 side windows, maybe 300 bucks in that. So guys, I really appreciate y'all watching to the end. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you think of my tint job, doing it for pretty much the first time in 15 years. And hit that like button, guys, and consider subscribing to the channel. It'll help out the channel. And again, thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless.